There. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Robin, and I'm from Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Nice.
I met you earlier. Hello.
Hi.
My question is a personal question. How have you taken to the fandom of all of us crazed fans that travel all over the country to come and meet you guys and say hello?
I think it's amazing. When I joined the show, there was a lot of, when I was first on set, or even before I started filming, I think it was Stephen Young was the first person to say it to me, and then everyone said it to me a million times, is, "Welcome to The Walking Dead." And I was like, okay, is this a TV show? And I've done a bunch of TV shows and a bunch of different things, and this one is just different to anything. And I think it's really different to anything at all that's been around. I mean, the head of AMC compared it to Star Trek a few weeks ago, and I think that's probably one of the only fandoms, or maybe Star Wars, that you could compare it to, with how intensely into it the fans are and how much they love the cast and meeting everyone. It was something that, honestly, I went to the premiere last year in New York, and I sat on the floor and watched all the actors come out and do the whole thing, and it honestly scared the crap out of me at that time, because everyone is screaming and going insane, and I was really like, wow, what have I just gotten myself into? There's no going back now. I kind of gotten into that, and it's a weird thing. I'm not complaining, obviously, about being on the show and stuff, but it is weird because you move into a different part of reality in the world and stuff. But once you realize that, you go through that stage and you realize that you're surrounded by people on the show who are in the same situation, but also that the fans are so welcoming and amazing and supportive. I've really found that it really is, the hashtag Walking Dead family is a real thing that I didn't fully understand until I was in it, really. And so we were talking to Kari Payton, who just joined as Ezekiel, and he's getting the same thing now, and everyone's like, "Welcome to The Walking Dead." He's like, "What does this mean?" And I'm telling him the same thing that everyone said to me, just, "You'll see." It's so weird and wonderful and amazing, and honestly, this is with me for the rest of my life, and with all of us. You know,
Ours too. Ours too.
Yeah, with all of us.
Ours too.
All of
because
these.
we love you.
No, but this whole convention, like the Walker Stalker conventions, is because of you guys and because of the Walking Dead family, and it just grows and grows and grows. And there are people, so at the party last night, there are people here who were fans of the show who now work with the show all the time, and they meet the people that are on the show, and it's just so wonderful. And I do think that the cast are pretty accessible. You know, everyone on the show is a really nice human being, and no one is starry, and I'm on this huge television show, and you're just, whatever. You know, we're all very, very aware of the fact that we wouldn't be here without you guys, and how much you're the show, and we're the show, and it all exists together, and we're very grateful.
Well,
and
we appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much. We just hit, what was it, 20.8 million viewers for the premiere, which is insane. Like, television shows, they don't make those numbers. So it really is, it's honestly a once-in-a-lifetime deal right now. And we're all on the train, you know? And it's amazing. It's great. And sometimes you hate it, and you hate to love it, and you love it, but I've been talking a lot about it. It's life, man. Like, I know that, like, so the characters died in the premiere, but people die, you know, and like, I talk about the show, and like, the show is life, right? Like, in life, death is around every corner, unfortunately, it is, things happen. And just in the show, it's just accelerated, because, you know, the walkers are around, and the stakes are much higher. But it's the same as life, you know, and now everyone invested in the show, these are people that you love, and your family, and unfortunately, bad stuff happens in the world, and you either choose to confront it or you don't. And I think a lot of people that are on board with the show realize that. And as much as it will make them cry and scream and shout and love and hate, that's life, you know? And it's great. And you just have to dive in and take the ride.
Thank you.
Nice. Over here. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jordan from British Columbia, Canada. and I was just wondering what's it like to film the martial arts scenes, because I'm very familiar with the comics, and I imagine that must be really cool. And what did you have to go through to learn all those moves?
So I can talk about that a bit because it was in the trailer. It was amazing. I've read all the comic books now, and I was aware that it's such a huge part of the character that I needed to be on top of it. And so 3 months before this season started filming, I got in touch with the producers and said, listen, I want to get in on this because there's no way that I want a stunt guy doing all of the stuff that my character does, and it's always kind of obvious when it's a stunt guy as well. And I mean, if I didn't think that I could do it, then I wouldn't have done it. But I'm quite, I can be quite athletic, and I'm quite springy. I used to do gymnastics, and I just needed to get my cardio back up. So I went to see this guy called Stephen Ho in LA, who trained Lenny with his stick fighting, and who was actually Donatello in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies back in the day. And he's a really awesome guy, lives in LA, and I started training with him twice a week and going to a boxing gym as much as I could. And yeah, we went through all the kicks. And we really did. Like, we got to the point where it was like, okay, what should we try today? Let's do this in the same thing, or that in the same thing. So that was a lot of fun. And whatever ends up being in the show, we have behind the scenes footage, which I'm sure will be on The Talking Dead or something. Because if I'm upset with what ends up being in the show, I'm like, damn it, that does not look as badass as it should. I've got some badass stuff that I'm going to show. So like, I really, really trained as hard as I could for it, because I know it's important. And yeah, I hope Jesus has, all the action scenes from now on. Because he's in the show, like, he's the one, like, fighting in the show always ends up being like a scrap, it's like it's falling to the floor and it's really messy, which is what fighting, ends up being actually in real life. But I feel like Jesus is a lot more clinical and aware of the situation, and if he has a fight, it's over really quickly, actually. He's not about like getting involved in, because also Jesus in the comic books is a bit bigger than me. So we worked on as well, like for our Jesus in the show, I think he's much more about being effective with what he does, and gets in and gets out, and he's all about finishing things before they get to a worse point. And so yeah, hopefully there'll be more and you'll see some. Thank you. That'll be a bit this season.
Were you familiar with Jesus in the comics before you got the role, or
No.
did you read some after you got the role?
No, I got cast. I put my tape out on a Wednesday. I was in England at the time. I put my tape out on a Wednesday. I got the part on a Friday at midnight in London. And I had been given fake sides and fake scenes. I had zero idea what. I knew the show, but I didn't know what I was auditioning for. They were like, oh, it's this character that would be a guest spot. And I was like, oh, cool, that would be cool to do a few episodes of The Walking Dead. And then at midnight on Friday, after a few beers, my agent is emailing me going, oh, we think it's this guy. And I'm like, oh, gee, okay, so I'm like Wikipedia, like, oh, Jesus, Walking Dead. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a big deal. And then I was like on a plane to America, back to America the next day, and doing fittings. And so I just didn't have enough time to watch the show or read the comic books before I was on set. And at that time, you've got the script and you just have to concentrate on what's in front of you. But then after I had filmed what I filmed last year, I caught up on everything, yeah. And now it's really annoying because I'm up to date with the comic books, and I have to wait a month between comic books.
I know, I did the same thing, like between the hiatus of season 3, I caught up on all of them, and then you have to wait a month for like 25 pages.
That's
so
annoying.
frustrating. But I'm sure you're aware that the show doesn't always follow the comic. So now that you're caught up to date and you know what kind of your character goes through, there's things that, you don't have to say what things, but are there things that you hope that they hit about your character, and things that you're like, they don't have to do that? You're just ready to go with it.
There's a couple of like fight sequences which would be really cool from the comic books, but there's also after the time jump in the comic books, when he comes back with the man bun and the samurai sword and the horse and the body armor, it's just a really badass look. So I hope we hit that. Because that's
pretty
very cool.
iconic. They seem to hit the iconic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we get there, then they will. Which means I have to work with horses again, which is a bit of a pain. but at the same time, just because I love horses, but they're quite difficult to film with. No, I hope we hit that point. I don't know. I don't know how long the war is going to last, you know. I hope we get to the Whisperer War, which is in the comic books right now. I think Alpha is my favorite character in the comics. I think she's badass. Yeah, so I hope we at least get to the Whisperer War. And by that time, Jesus is like an integral part of the group, which would be nice as well. Because when you join the show as well, so the way that I joined the show is the way that I joined the show in the story. Like, I was an outsider, I came in, I first met Andy. I mean, I met the actors, but in the show I met Andy and Norman and had a whole episode with them. And then I met all of the cast, and then I took them to the hilltop. And you do see people outside of work, but at that point I was staying in a hotel, and I wasn't like really hanging out with the cast. So you come in and you slowly, in the way that Jesus slowly makes relationships, it's the same, yeah. It's funny like that.